welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're jumping into something really exciting. The brand new 2026 Ducati Desmo450 MX.
That's right, a legendary brand stepping into a whole new world.
Exactly. And for you listening, if you want to get up to speed quickly on this bike, well, this is your shortcut. We're going to break it all down.
Yep, we're basing this on a really solid piece by KR and Artuidi, 2026 Ducati Desmo450 MX. The ultimate off-road beast. Came out April 23rd, 2025.
Our mission today, to pull out all the key info, the insights, everything you need to understand this Ducati, its features, performance, and where it sits in the whole motocross picture.
Right, and where better to start than the engine? The heart of the beast, so to speak.
Okay, so the article says it's a race-ready 450cc single-cylinder. Specs are 60 horsepower at 9,500 RPM and 45 newton meters of torque at 7,000 RPM.
Yeah, and what's interesting there is Ducati's talk about explosive power and torque. They're clearly aiming for that instant acceleration, that really snappy throttle response you absolutely need in motocross.
That high RPM peak power, 9,500. That suggests it likes to rev, right? Good for pulling hard into corners, maybe?
It could be, yeah. It suggests a strong top-end rush. And the torque, while maybe not the absolute highest number out there, peaking at 7,000 RPM, it suggests they want you to keep it singing in that mid to upper range. It sounds like it might be a really engaging, maybe even demanding engine character.
A rider's engine, perhaps. Not just about raw numbers.
Potentially, yeah. It seems they're chasing a specific feel.
And managing that power, we've got a 6-speed manual transmission. Pretty standard stuff there, really.
Standard, but crucial for using that power effectively across, the whole track layout. Different gears for different sections.
Right. So, powerful engine. But motocross is won and lost in the corners and the rough stuff.
Yeah.
How does it handle? What about agility?
Yes. The article really highlights the suspension. They've gone with an upside-down fork at the front.
Okay. And why is that significant? The upside-down design.
Well, putting the thicker, stronger part of the fork tubes up top, clamped by the triple clamps, gives you more rigidity. Less flex when you're hard on the brakes or leaning it over hard. It means a more precise steering feel for the rider.
Gotcha. And the rear.
Fully adjustable monoshock, which means riders can really dial it in, compression damping, rebound damping, adjust it for their weight, style, track conditions, jumps, whoops, you name it.
So it's all about keeping things controlled and predictable when the going gets tough. The article also mentions a lightweight frame, slim profile, low seat height, making it easier to ride, less tiring.
Exactly. And they list the dry weight at just 110 kilograms.
Wow, 110 kilograms dry. That's pretty light for a 450, isn't it?
It really is. It puts it right up there with the lightest bikes in the class, and that low weight translates directly to agility. Less effort to turn, easier to handle in the air, easier to muscle through tight spots.
And the lower seat helps with confidence, I imagine, especially if you're not super tall.
Definitely. Easier to get a foot down if you need to dab. It all adds up to a more manageable, confidence-inspiring feel.
Okay, so potent engine, nimble chassis. Now this is where Ducati often shines the tech. What electronics have they packed into this off-roader?
Right, this is a big talking point in the article. We're seeing some pretty advanced traction control as mentioned.
Okay, so that helps find grip on loose surfaces, stops the rear wheel spinning up too much.
Precisely. Keeps things stable, helps you put the power down effectively. Then there's launch control.
For nailing those race starts.
Yep. Consistent controlled power off the line can make a huge difference getting the whole shot.
And customizable riding modes, too.
So you can tweak the engine character, maybe a softer map for mud, a more aggressive one for hardpack, tailor it to the conditions, or just your preference.
That's pretty sophisticated stuff for a motocross bike. The article calls it not just powerful, but also highly intelligent.
It definitely points towards Ducati bringing their road bike electronics expertise into the dirt. It's about making the power more usable, more controllable for the rider.
So let's quickly round out the specs. Estimated top speed, 140 kilometer fuel tank, 7 liters, brakes, discs front and rear. Anything jump out there?
Well, the top speed is kind of academic for motocross. You're really hitting that. The 7-liter tank is pretty standard, a good balance between range for a moto and keeping weight down. And disc brakes, well, that's essential, obviously. Good stopping power is non-negotiable.
Okay, the million-dollar question then, or maybe the $12,000 question. How does it stack up against the big players? The article compares it to the KTM 450 SXF and the Honda CRF 450R.
Right, this is the crucial bit. Let's look at the numbers. Engine capacity, all 450cc naturally.
Power, Ducati 60 HP, KTM 63, Honda 62. So Ducati slightly down on peak power there.
Just slightly, yeah. And torque. Ducati 45 nm, KTM highest at 52, Honda 48. Again, Ducati's not leading the pack on paper here.
Interesting. So what's the strategy, do you think?
Well, like we discussed, maybe it's not purely about peak numbers. Perhaps Ducati believes their combination of usable power, the lightweight, and especially those advanced electronics adds up to a faster lap time or just a better overall riding experience. They might be banking on the sum being greater than the individual spec sheet parts.
A focus on the total package. Makes sense. What about weight? Ducati, 110 kilograms dry. KTM slightly lighter at 108. Honda just over at a 111. Pretty close group there.
Very close. Shows how competitive this class is. Everyone's fighting for grams. Suspension, Ducati lists their own, KTM uses WP, Honda uses Showa. All top-tier stuff, really.
Fuel tanks, Ducati 7 liters, KTM 7.2. Honda a bit smaller at 6.3.
Again, minor differences, likely reflecting slightly different design priorities.
And then, at the price, estimated. Ducati $12,000, KTM $10,500, Honda $9,500. That's a noticeable step up for the Ducati.
It is, and that really frames Ducati's position. They're coming in at a premium.
So they're justifying that premium with...
Likely with that advanced electronics suite, the Italian engineering excellence the article mentions, maybe the overall finish and component quality, and that lightweight design. They're targeting riders willing to pay more for, perhaps, perceived innovation and that Ducati brand cachet.
Right. It's a premium product pitch, not necessarily aiming for the budget-conscious buyer.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
It's positioning itself as a high-tech, high-end option.
Okay. Beyond the core specs, the article also talks quite a bit about design and comfort, sort of the rider interface. Ergonomics, slim profile, seat height, handlebar placement, all aimed at better control and less fatigue.
Yeah, it's about how the rider connects with the bike. That slim profile makes it easier to grip with your legs, which is key for control, especially standing up. The lower seat, as we said, boosts confidence, and handlebar position can make a big difference to comfort over a long moto, reducing strain.
It all works together with that lightweight feel to make it easier to handle, presumably.
Absolutely. It's a holistic approach, making the bike feel like an extension of the rider.
And the suspension plays into comfort too, right? Soaking up the bumps.
Big time. Good suspension is crucial not just for performance, but also for reducing rider fatigue. Plus, you've got the practical stuff like the decent fuel range and reliable brakes, adding to the overall experience.
So if we were to summarize the key advantages the article points to for the Desmo 450 MX, what are the main takeaways?
Okay, you've got that engine with its focus on explosive but precise power. You've got the lightweight, agile frame, the advanced tunable suspension, those cutting-edge electronics, traction control, launch control modes, and then the overall race-ready design and perceived durability.
Sounds like a strong package, definitely.
It really does. It suggests a bike that's potentially very fast, very capable, but also quite sophisticated.
There's always a but, isn't there? What about the potential downsides mentioned?
Right. We've got to look at the other side. The most obvious is the price tag. It's higher than its main rivals.
Okay, what else?
Slightly less peak power and torque on paper compared to the KTM and Honda. The fact that Ducati is new to this market segment might mean potentially limited availability, maybe fewer dealers initially.
Yeah, parts and support could be a concern early on.
Possibly. Then there's the question of whether it's really suitable for pure beginners, despite rider aids. A 450 is still a lot of bike, and potentially higher maintenance costs down the line given the premium components in tech.
Those are all fair points for potential buyers for you listening to weigh up.
Absolutely crucial considerations. It depends on your priorities. Are you after pure peak power, best value, or are you drawn to the tech and the Ducati brand?
The article actually touches on some of these in a little FAQ section too.
Yeah.
Confirms the $12K price estimate.
And it does suggest beginners could ride it, but, with proper training. It acknowledges the slight power difference.
Reassures on the suspension handling jumps. Confirms traction control. Mentions the 7-liter tank again. And yeah, acknowledges that initial global availability might be a bit limited.
So it's good they address those head on. Shows they anticipate the questions.
Okay, so wrapping this all up, the article paints the 2026 Ducati Desmo 450 MX as a potential game changer. It's blending power, tech, and that Italian flair.
Yeah, I think the key takeaway for you, the listener, is this. It's a high-performance, very tech-heavy motocross bike. It carries a premium price. It seems aimed squarely at riders who value innovation, agility, maybe that refined feel, possibly more than just the biggest horsepower number or the lowest price.
A sophisticated choice, maybe.
That sums it up well.
And that leaves us with a final thought, kind of building on that potential limited availability point. What does it signify when a brand like Ducati, so famous for road bikes, makes such a serious move into a niche off-road market like motocross.
That's interesting. Is it a one-off, or does it signal a broader trend? Could we see other big manufacturers known for one thing suddenly popping up in completely different segments?
Definitely something to ponder.
Yeah.
What other surprises might be around the corner in the industry? Anyway, that's our deep dive for today. Thanks for joining us.